Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well on this fine Sunday. That should have been a calm one, but it's not. It's not a calm Sunday. And everything that's related to us can never be calm. Just as we thought this saga had basically fizzled out, that's it, the fires have been put out, right? It's all calm and collected now. Nope, we got fires again. It's all ramping up again. And it's around Younes Jackson and his move to Bayern Munich, because we've got none other than Bayern Munich supervisory board member ULI HOENEß coming onto television to speak about this move, and what he has dropped has been absolutely mental. So we're going to dive in. What has he said? Because Bayern Munich and how they're structured, you have manager, sporting director, that dynamic, Max Erbel, and then you have the board. They are above everybody in terms of decisions. They are the ones that restricted this move from the first place because of the money involved, and all of a sudden at the last moment gave the green light. Well, now we've got ULI himself, one of those board members. He served as club president until 2019 at Bayern Munich, if you remember. He's on the board with the likes of Rummenigge and a few others. Well, he has spoken and our jaws have hit the floor. So let's hear what he's had to say. Here's ULI HOENEß. ULI HOENEß confirms Younes Jackson's £67 million buy option only becomes mandatory if he starts 40 games this season, but says he will never do that. What? Let's get the full quote. Let's get the full quote so we can get some proper understanding around here. Here it is. So on television, and this was the screenshot from it, he said, it's not a 16.5 million euro loan fee because the player and his agent are contributing 3 million euros. So that leaves 13.5 million euros. And there will definitely not be a permanent contract. That only happens if he plays 40 games from the start. He will never do that. You have got to be kidding me. Like, this is mental. Fabrizio also confirms that this quote is legit. Bayern's ULI HOENEß on Jackson deal. The player and his agent contribute for 3 million euros, so we pay 13.5 million euros loan fee. There will definitely not be a permanent contract. That only happens if he plays 40 games from the start. It will never happen. Can I just say, off the bat, the fact that the player hasn't even played a minute for Bayern Munich yet, right? And this guy is coming out immediately and going, he's never going to do that. Yeah, he ain't starting 40 games. Forget it. What? That is, I find that monumental. I find that insane. How can you be commenting in that way about a player that you've brought to your club and you've just basically cut his legs off? Basically. His legs have been completely cut off. The player hasn't even played a match. And what we're getting is one of the board members who has helped sanction this deal come out and basically tell the player in front of national television, you ain't starting 40 games, forget it. When we all know Jackson wanted to leave Chelsea in this whole saga and wanted to go to Bayern Munich and is happy that this clause is in there that the move can be made permanent. And now he's got the board member at Bayern Munich telling him, nah mate, this ain't going to be permanent, forget it. What? Flipping out. Now I don't know if this is, maybe it's a mental tactic here. Maybe, right? Because we have to consider all things here. Like I've said, the player's not played yet. Jackson's not played a minute yet. Could this be, I hope, listen, I hope, but could this be ULI HOENEß's way of getting the message to Jackson that, look, the clause is having to start 40 games. You're going to have to prove to everyone that you can actually step up to that level. If not, you can forget staying here. Is this a way, weirdly enough, of trying to motivate Younes Jackson that he has to actually explode? If not, he's got no chance of staying at the club. I mean, if it is, then fair play, but there's better ways of doing it. You know, to come out on national television like this and to just speak like, yeah, even though the player wants the permanent move, It's not happening. Yeah, it's not happening. Forget it. It's a loan. It's just a loan. Yeah, he ain't starting 40 games. Who does he think he is? Like, to do that is mad. Absolutely mad. But I also have to look at the other side of the coin here. Well, this is a sticky situation, isn't it? Not just for us. For us, it's not even that sticky. What's the worst case scenario for us? What, he comes back and then we try and sell him to somewhere else next season whilst we've got João Pedro and Liam Delap? Yeah, we're not exactly in the mud. It's fine. But financially, we want the move to happen, of course, because financially, this is monumental money. But the one who's going to suffer here is Nicholas Jackson. After everything that we've just seen recently, imagine after everything, he wanted the move, he wanted to leave in the end, he got the move, he started speaking, he spoke, like I said yesterday in the video yesterday, talking about how he was talking like my Bayern Munich and you know, it's football to play against my old club, and I was a little bit sad leaving Chelsea, but you know, now I'm at one of the biggest clubs in the world. And he's speaking like it's a permanent. It would be the worst thing if at the end of the season, he has to come trickling back to Chelsea Football Club whilst he knows that he hasn't got a place in the team. I mean, that is just catastrophic. So maybe, this is why I'm entertaining this, maybe this is Uli's way. Maybe of getting the player to have his back against the wall. Because Nicholas Jackson, like this, you have no choice, brother. You have no choice but to absolutely light it up at Bayern Munich to even stand a chance of starting 40 games. Don't forget, this isn't playing 40 games. He said the clause is starting 40 games. It's not coming off the bench for 40 games. It's having to start the game 40 times this season. I can see why that's impossible, or almost impossible, because guess who he needs to bench? He needs to bench Harry Kane. That's not happening. That's not happening. Alternatively, Bayern Munich, despite their limited striker options, in order to facilitate Harry Kane and Nicholas Jackson, you've got to play them both together. And I don't think Bayern Munich are going to do that. And if they do, maybe a few times. But still, for Jackson to start 40 games, I have to agree here, to start, he's not lying. That's not happening. It's not. It just won't. Especially in this first season. And Harry Kane's there. Now, if Harry Kane wasn't there and Nicholas Jackson's got to come in the same way that he came into Chelsea and just, you're the number one guy, we ain't got anyone else, then fair enough, that can be possible. But with Harry Kane there, no chance. I'm going to predict that Jackson might be able to start about 20, and then the rest will all be off the bench. It'll be off the bench. There's no way that he's going to be starting all these games. When you consider that with the league and with the cup competitions, Champions League included, yeah, maybe you're playing 65 games a season. You think Jackson's going to start 40 of those. You're dreaming. So he's not lying here when he says all of this. But the worst case scenario here is if we don't trigger those 40 games, and then he has to put his tail between his legs, and he has to walk back to Chelsea, and he hasn't got a future, and then what? This is where things get a little bit sticky, and I have to be honest here, even for Chelsea Football Club, Jackson's in a position here where he will be playing football matches. So in terms of value, it's fine. Worst case scenario, if he does come back from Bayern Munich and we don't trigger the buy option, I think there will be other clubs that will be interested in buying him. Taking the fact that he will be playing football matches, so his value will still be at a certain level. But the risk that we have here is that if he does come back from Bayern Munich, then gets to Chelsea and we don't find a suitable buyer, and then he's stuck, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the risk here of Bayern Munich flipping. It's crazy to think that this is how Bayern Munich are operating. You know, even on a financial level, this is how you're operating, you know, flipping out. Bayern Munich of old wouldn't have even dreamt of doing something like this. Bayern Munich of old would be able to get anything they want done. Just goes to show how much the levels have dropped. And let me show you another quote that he has said about the spending. And I'm going to explain this because I've got to be fair and logical here. Read this. He says, we're very satisfied at FC Bayern. We are the real winners of the summer transfer window. Okay. We have a strong team and didn't need to strengthen it much. Of course, we would have liked to have Florian Wirtz, but we'd never have bought him for 150 million euros. We offered 55 million euros for Nick Woltermaid, while Stuttgart wanted 75 million euros. In the end, he went to Nottingham, he meant Newcastle, for 90 million. What Newcastle are doing has nothing to do with football. It's like Monopoly days. This, I have to be honest, because there's elements of truth, but I have to be completely clear, that's a victim mentality that you've got going there, my friend. It's as simple as that. Listen, you want the truth? The Premier League is making the most money. End of story. Deal with it. Can you change it? No. So instead, when he was asked about the ownership model, he was asked about the ownership with Bayern Munich and German football and the 50+1 model, right? And I have to say, on paper, yes, that sounds fantastic, but it's a fantasy. This is coming from someone that before was looking and going, no, you know what? Yeah, that's how it should be. No, and I stick to that. How things should be, yeah, if everyone followed the same model, great. But the truth is, we don't. That's just the reality. So are we going to speak fantasy or are we going to speak reality? Are we going to speak daydreaming or are we going to speak what's actually happening? The daydream would be if every country in UEFA, every league was 50+1 and that's it. Great. Then everyone's on the same level playing field and everyone's got the same resources and no one's got an advantage over anyone else and that's it. Great. Now we're going to talk reality because that's a daydream. In Germany, that's what they got going on. Why do you think the Bundesliga is held back so much? Because the Premier League, let's be honest, has monopolized European football. That's the truth. And why? Because the Premier League model isn't like the German model. Spain doesn't have much resource, but they've got a couple of things. That's called Real Madrid and Barcelona, and the heritage sells itself. So for those clubs, and even then, they're not as bamboozled with money like it used to be. FFP has stopped everyone from spending big, but FFP also allows you to take into consideration the money that you make and the money that you let out. Money in, money out. These German clubs, Spanish clubs, aside from Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and even then, to an extent, they are affected. The Italian clubs, the French clubs, you ain't got much money coming in. So in turn, your way of making profit is only based on money that you can try and get out, and then you're limited on what you can actually bring in. The Premier League, however, the Premier League has so much money coming in, it's stupid. And why? Because the Premier League has the most attention. And the Premier League is facilitated in a way where the commercial activity, the TV activity, the names, just the overall media coverage, the players that are there, the managers that are there, everything is top tier. Everything's top tier. So let me give you a little bit of a reminder as to how the world operates now, which is just the reality. Attention equals money. Positive attention or negative attention equals money. Simple as that. Attention is the modern day currency. The Premier League has the most attention. End of story. So Premier League clubs like Newcastle, he wants to come out and criticize it. Newcastle have the means to do it. End of story. And even then, he picked out Newcastle as an example. We all know Newcastle have had a horrendous transfer window. But that's according to us because we know how things are operating in the Premier League. For him, Newcastle like, oh no, look, they're destroying football. God forbid, try and speak about Liverpool and what they did this window then. But by FFP, they've played by the rules. They're okay. They haven't broken anything. They were allowed to go and spend 500 million. Not a problem. But tell Bayern Munich to spend 500 million. Can they spend 500 million? No chance. In their daydreams. Because there isn't that much money coming in the first place. They don't pull in that sort of money. But why do they not pull in that sort of money? Because they just don't have the resources to. And neither does the Bundesliga. That's just the reality. The Premier League is on a different level compared to everyone else. which is also why, in turn, we're struggling to sell all of these players to teams like Bayern Munich because they ain't got the facilities for it. So, the reality is, the Premier League is ahead of all of these lot because the Premier League gets in the most money. And the top-end clubs in the Premier League are the ones that are able to compensate from it, which gives us more leeway to do what we want in these transfer windows. Unlike these lot. Whereas in the past, it wasn't really like that. And we have to have this argument. Is it FFP that has restricted? Has it come in at a time where even the leagues that were not pulling in as much money, but are now, they're limited like everyone else is limited, but from a profit loss standpoint, they're just completely restricted compared to Premier League clubs, where if we make a little bit of money, which we already have coming in, we're able to actually go out and spend. These lot cannot. Is that a hindrance to football as a whole, European football? What do you think? Let me know down below. But he's trying to paint the image that the way that he's got it and the way that Bayern Munich have it right now is the fantastic way and all of that. Well, no. You're shooting yourselves in the feet at the moment, my friend. It's as simple as that. And why? Because Bayern Munich are not in a capacity to be able to go and get a billionaire owner and walk in and give them the resources. They can't do it because of the 50+1 model. It's as simple as that. They do not have the facilities for it. Premier League clubs, though, fully privatized. Whoever wants to come in and buy, buy. So Bayern Munich are not as big as they used to be in terms of what they can actually put on the table. Same goes for Real Madrid and Barcelona even, which is the point that I made the other day. But their history allows them to just keep the prestige and keep the level because it is Real Madrid, because it is Barcelona. They're going to forever attract these sort of things. And they actually have decent amount of money coming in on a level, not completely, but on a certain level, because no matter what they do, they will sell stuff. They will sell merchandise. They will get big deals. It's Real Madrid, it's Barcelona. It's the two most elite clubs in world football. Bayern Munich should be in that bracket, but they're not acting like it. So, let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear your opinions on all of this. Where do you think Bayern Munich stand? Where do you think the Premier League clubs stand? What do you think of Nicholas Jackson? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think of all of this that I've just illustrated in front of all of you lot? Much appreciated. Let me know down below. Subscribe, notification bell on. And I'll be here later on tonight. We'll see what else pops around the corner. And I'll see all of you then. So subscribe, notification bell on. See you tonight. Take care and peace.